This is episode number 2153. Derivatives trading is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. This morning, the market has what has changed into a mix, a slight risk-on sentiment. The S&P pushing up against the 45.95, which was a key level yesterday. And turning around, the rally led by techs, the NQ really pushing higher. Of the indices, the RTY is a leader with 49 basis points versus 48 basis points by the NASDAQ. The S&P is up 34 basis points, the Dow 26 basis points. Europe's relatively strong. The Euro Stoxx 50 up 74 basis points versus the NASDAQ or the DAX, which is 52 basis points. Metal seeing a real surge today. Silver has been leading the board today. With 146 basis points higher, followed by copper. We're seeing treasuries weak-ish to unchanged again. Keep an eye on those treasuries. They have been supposedly, and if you hear a hint of cynicism from me, it is because I am cynical about these simple explanations for these moves. I'm on Jeff Snyder's camp in terms of how effective the Fed really is. And so I don't believe in these simple explanations. This morning, we had some really important earnings. We got pre-market, we got United Healthcare, which is a $72 or $73 billion in revenue, who beat. We have Bank of America, which beat by 7.9% on earnings. We have State Street, which beat by 6.3%. We have Fastenal, which beat by 5%. We have Citizens Financial, which beat by 11.5%. And ASML Holdings, which beat by 17%, remaining after the close, and of course US Bancorp. After the close, we have Discover Financial, Alcoa, United Airlines, and Kinder Morgan. And that's where that stands. The S&P has traded quite a bit. The volume's quite heavy, 346,000, well above the expectation. Well, the 252-day mode of the distribution is really 228. We were expecting around 150,000. We have 346,000. So there's quite a bit of activity overnight. The profile looks like a sawtooth. Very active price discovery on high volume with a relatively expanded range. The point of control has shifted from about 45.40, which is a big ledge, up to where it is now, 45.85. Could shift to 45.90 it looks like. So to me, this is a two-way auction. This is a very contested auction, but the buyers are winning. The buyers have brought it back into yesterday's range after dropping to 45.35. Recall yesterday, the low was 45.60 or so. So that's where we stand. In terms of what came out, what was important tonight, the inflation rate out of Great Britain came out of 5.4% versus a consensus of 5.2%. And housing starts in the U.S. came in very strong, 1.702 million versus 1.65 million. Building permits also very strong, 1.873 million versus 1.701 million. And what's the key elements that remain is balance of trade out of Japan. Balanced trade out of Japan, and the loan prime rate out of China. So that's where it's at, folks. Looking at yesterday, I'm going to spend a very brief period on this. Yesterday we tested up. We opened at 04, tested up 2.5 points, 0650. 4606.50. So we opened just above the 4600 level and we immediately dropped to 4581. So we did this opening swing. Oops, this is the wrong color. We did the opening swing down to 92.75, consolidated, very relatively weak, continued lower. We made an attempt at the 600, stopped dead in its tracks at the 600, came back, pushed through the 600 to 0225. And then it just was really, I was leaning short. My bias was strongly short, as most of you who are convergent and who monitor the Head Trader channel, my comments were all on the short side. So yesterday, if you look at this thing, you'll see 93.75, 95, 94.75, 94, 95.75, and that coincides with this little dip here in the profile, and that's where we are. That's where we came up. The overnight high tonight was 94.50. Was 94.50, and we are turning again. So we are in the depth of what turned out to be, despite what looked like price discovery to the downside. Really, yesterday it was really a balanced profile, as you can see here, with lots of noise in the middle on top of this composite high volume area. That again, we're at this 83 quarter, right? So many of these prices repeat themselves, like the 20s, the 83, the 90. These have a tendency to kind of repeat themselves at every 100-point handle. But we are stuck down here. I had talked about yesterday about 55 and 50 being on deck, but Tendex, who's a head trader at Conversion Trading, brought up the fact that there's a 100-day SMA that we've been bouncing off of, and that was in the 64-ish region, and we've basically bounced off of it again. We're about 30 points higher at the moment. But overall, the skew yesterday was to the downside, and today it's trying to find a base. So we'll see if it does. Looking at the overnight session, this is a 30-minute all sessions chart. This here is yesterday's action. And what we did is we reopened. Remember, we finished relatively weak yesterday during our trade talk at 1 p.m. Eastern at Convergent. I did talk about this being a weak low, and I expect it to be retested, and it was taken out by a handful of ticks or a couple ticks on the close. We did finish pretty weak, and then we create this impulse, pullback, continuation, correction, consolidation, and push. This looks pretty bullish to me. It is moving to the other side of the overnight yesterday's RTH profile, and we are starting to make our way back to 4600. I still hold to the position that if we can get to 50, if the buyers can get to 50, push through, and have a shallow pullback, we're likely to get a quick squeeze into 83, 4683, and then 4700, and we're back at all-time highs again. But for now, the market is really spooked by something we've known about for quite some time, which is the tapering of the Fed, and we have earnings in the mix as well. So it's an interesting time to be watching the markets. So that's where we stand. Let's take a look. Oh, before I do that, I want to remind everybody or let everybody know, and the link is in the YouTube live chat. It's also on Conversion Trading's Twitter. You can find it at twitter.com/conv, CONV trading. But Jared Tendler is going to be was going to be speaking at Convergent with me tomorrow, Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern. Please register for the broadcast. You can go to ct.pro/winning-trader-mindset to register. We'll be talking about how to get in the mindset of being doing what you need to do in order to win at this game. Nothing's guaranteed, of course, but although an edge is key, mindset is also very, very important. I can tell you that from experience. Anybody that has traded a lot and has been hit by large losses has a proven edge, but then you'll see that it's very, very hard to overcome the PTSD, if you will, of taking losses, the fear or the anxiety of taking losses. Let's take a look at what's expected for today, and I'm going to let you guys go as I have other things to do as well. So here we stand today. Yesterday, the close was quite an impulse down, or was an impulsive close down. We closed inside of 2 volatility sigma on the close, historical volatility, and we're reversing. So to me, this isn't a sign that things are shaping up for buyers or anything like that. I don't think that's the case. I think that this is likely to be another relatively weak bounce because the fundamentals have not changed, as I talked about yesterday. Just not seeing a change in how things are going, and so I don't see anybody stepping in. I don't expect anybody to step in and buy this up just because. Here's what I'm expecting for today. Today I'm expecting an open auction. We're opening in yesterday's range. This part of the profile is an error in the data due to the holiday, but a balanced profile from yesterday. Open auction. I'm expecting this to be responsive down into 45.73. I expect us to get the settlement price, the settlement statistic, expect us to get the overnight stat done, but I'm looking for this thing to be responsive, consolidate, and then later in the session squeeze back up over the 4600 to push into the 46.20-24 pullback and hold steady, giving us a higher low, higher high for the primary scenario. And the reason I'm expecting that is because we're seeing strength. There was the profile overnight. If you look at this profile in the overnight, this is an embattled profile, and the buyers came on top, and I'm expecting them to hold that territory. The secondary is an open auction that pushes the overnight high, gets us into the 4606, which comes from way back here and here. 4606 tries to poke through, finds its sellers, Keep an eye on those treasuries back to the overnight point of control, and then we start to push yesterday's low, and that's when we get our squeeze down into the 45.50 I talked about yesterday before bouncing. These are the 2 main scenarios. Yes, you can look at these and say, oh, okay, so this might go up or it might go down, but that's not the idea. The idea is to pay attention to these levels and to know the map of prices that have taken place. These stock zones have been quite on. This stock zone right here, for example, this particular stock zone at 45.35.50 has been here for about 2 weeks, and you can see that not that a one sample example is going to set the trend, but you could see it's bouncing off of this stock zone. These stock zones are built on volume levels as well as price action or structure, and I'm expecting the range today to be right in here for the second scenario. So 06 down into 35, extending below, potentially into 20, 28, who knows? But then the same kind of size continues to the upside, and if that's the case, we may push into 24 or the naked point of control of 32 from a few days ago. So this is where we stand today. Good luck. Don't forget to sign up for the webinar tomorrow with myself and Jared Tendler. You can find that at go2ct.pro/winning-trader-mindset. Have a great day.